Today is Tuesday, Parashat Metzora, and we're learning in Chok Israel. One of the subjects that is learned every day in Chok Israel is the Gemarah. And today there's an interesting portion of Gemarah here about a situation that happened. Ha'u Gavra, there was a person, the Ogar le'rechaya lechaver le'tchina, who rented out his mill to someone, for that person to use the mill to grind the wheat or the barley. And the agreement they made between them is rather than the person who rented the mill, rather than paying money, that he would give services of grinding the wheat for the person who owns the mill. So that was the agreement. He grinds wheat for him, and then he grinds for the person who owns the mill, and that's the payment as he's paying him with services. Lesof iatar zavid rechaya behamra. The person who owned that mill became very wealthy, and he bought another mill to grind wheat. He bought also a donkey, and he no longer needed the services of the renter. So he told the renter, now, instead of giving me services of grinding my wheat, pay me money as the rental fee. In other words, he wanted to change the initial agreement from a payment with services to a payment by money. The question, can he force the renter to pay in money rather than to continue the services? So the Gemarah tries to compare this to other situations elsewhere. And here it says, look, the person who rented can say, I'm going to continue grinding for you the wheat just like we agreed. And if you have another mill, use that mill to grind the wheat for other people, and then you can charge them a fee and let you collect the payment of the mill use that you just now bought, get paid for that, but the agreement that we made initially, we cannot change it because we had agreed that my payment to you would be only through services. However, the Gemarah concludes this section by saying, Vela amaran ela deretle techina lerechaya. We can say this only if the person who had rented the mill has no other people that need those services that he would get paid for. In other words, the mill would stay idle and he have to spend money out of his pocket. So he can say, look, I have to continue grinding the wheat for you because that's the agreement that we made. However, if he can find easily other people who need the services of grinding wheat and he will get paid for those services, like this type of situation, then he can be compelled to pay the owner of that mill a payment in money rather than in services, because we can tell him, there are many people out there that need your services. Why don't you provide the service to them, collect money for the payment of the services, and pay the rental fee in money. And like this, we can compel him because we say, you shouldn't act like the people of Sdom. And what were the people of Sdom notorious for? They refused to do any favors, even when it cost them nothing, when it had no real impact on them. And that's not a good thing. A person should always try to accommodate others, to do favors to others, especially when there is no detriment, no negative impact on the person. So in this case, if the guy who had rented the mill, agreeing to pay just through services, but he can easily find other people that need the services and collect it from their money, then he should do that and pay the person who rented out the mill in money, even though it's a change of the original agreement, but because there would be no disadvantage to the person, since he's going to be able to give those services to other people who are in need and be able to have money and pay the rent, the person who rented him the mill. And that way everything works out. This is one example that we learn in the Gemarah that actually has implications on many different similar situations. So even though nowadays we typically don't have mills that we use to grind the wheat, we buy the flour already ready in the market, and it's something that could be thought to be like maybe foreign, but actually no. The same principles could apply to many different situations in life of renter and landlord and changes. Are you able to change the contract? Not. What happens if there is no negative impact, etc. So these principles can be applied to many other situations that would have similar factors involved in it to what we discussed in the Gemarah of today. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen. And by the way, today is the 4th day of Nisan, and today we read the Korbanot of Reuven, of the head of the tribe of Reuven. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'Amen.